Guys, if you were thinking about supporting the channel, Bianca, we actually weren't going to support the channel. Well, if you were, you can't. I took my links down and replaced them with a YouTuber who is in need of a little help. For every $2 you send her, I will send you graphic artistic depictions of Rich Johnston getting struggle-snuggled by a pig. For $5, I'll make it a three-way with EVS. After all, Comicsgate is all about helping each other. So let's all get gay together and help my favorite YouTuber who isn't named Cecil. Is anyone else getting tired of Comicsgate infighting? I see these 3 to 7 hour streams, I'm not watching them, that are Comicsgate people attacking Comicsgate people, or people who were Comicsgate. I'm sure there are a lot of legitimately hurt feelings, I get that, but is it really worth 3 hours? I think 90% of this spurging out is caused by Twitter, and the fact that these middle-aged men are acting like children. But isn't there anything else to talk about? Now that Star Wars and Captain Marvel is over, it's like Outrage channels have fallen apart once the outrage goes away. But there actually are other things to talk about. You don't have to just constantly go on and on about people you were friends with only a few months ago. It's kind of weird. That was a cash grab. So if you want to check that out, it is on Indiegogo. And you can check out Vestige by War Campaign, Rokamir Kubar. You can check out Cyberfrog and Clockwork Dancer and Lone Star, though I guess that was canceled. I mean, not canceled, but the thing was closed. You can buy any one of these comics you want to buy. You do not have to pick a side because we're not children. We're all adults. Anyway, this is Weapons Plus. And don't let the cover fool you. It looks sweet. 3 Gatling guns. It's crap. It's absolute crap. It's Swamp Thing attacks China and India for its pollution, except they never mention China or India. How dare you? I think Kelsey said that she just needed a good banging. Hey, 16 is legal in Europe. Heck, with all the Muslims in Europe, they'll have to lower the age to... let me skip that part. So this comic it's some sort of left-wing propaganda about pollution, which is great, but it ignores China and India, much like Greta does, which is typical of the globalists. Greta doesn't mention China, but when asked about it, she deflected and pivoted and said she only goes to places where she is invited. Then her handlers quickly shuffled her away. They are so terrified of criticizing the Chinese or Indians, they literally have to ignore the 2 greatest polluters on Earth. Those people ignore the elephant in the room while yelling at a mouse. These are the same people who want to lower the carbon footprint while simultaneously importing the high birth rate third worlders into the West. But you know what they do when confronted with these obvious facts? They deplatform you for saying that the emperor has no clothes. They don't care about the environment, not at all. They only care about power, and the best way to control the people is to cause chaos with high crime rates by importing third worlders. The best way to stop these people from complaining is to enact hate speech laws. There's no speech, there's no complaints. That's actually pretty clever. Chinese people suffering from the coronavirus are sneaking messages out via VPNs, protesting for free speech, while Antifa in America is begging for censorship. And to be fair, it's Antifa, the media, and academia. Of course, when asked who gets to decide what speech is allowed, they assume that it will be themselves. Great, a group of 20-year-olds who are mad at their dads will be the ones to censor our free expression. What could possibly go wrong? I wonder if they know that the POCs say the most racist things on social media, but the rules don't apply to them because of the soft bigotry of the lowered expectations. And I'm not pulling it out of thin air. Social media companies did some algorithmic studies where they determined who says the most istophobic things, or, what's the source. And the sources of those istophobic comments are coming from POCs. So the Marxists came out and said, oh, well, it's the algorithm's fault for not finding that white people were saying the most racist things. But if you've been on social media and you have a diverse group of friends, you know who says the most racist things, guys. And I've seen this on social media and in my own circle of friends. The Chinese, the Asians in general, and the Africans will say the most racist things. I'm not saying because they say racist things, they're racist, but they say the most racist things. And it's impossible to design an algorithm that's searching for istophobic content and then make it so it doesn't find istophobic content when it comes from the Chinese and Africans. It's kind of self-defeating. Anyway, so all these kids have short half-lives. Eventually, people find out that they are little sociopaths who think gulags are great. David Hogg is still on Twitter, but people are already starting to forget his name, and a bunch of those other kids who were associated with it. Oh, hey, Blonde Man Bad. I'm going to go through 5 comic books, and guess what you're going to see? Every time Greta cries out about pollution, but ignores China and the exploding Muslim population. Whoa, that's a bad combination of words for the algorithm. Exploding Muslims, huh? Then you know she is full of horse feathers. But by all means, keep telling white liberals how bad they are. They really seem to enjoy the abuse. Or maybe it's because they think that they're the exception, like they're the good ones or something. My point was specifically this comic. Oh, hey, blonde guy getting his head chopped off. And media in general is that if you got to find a way to involve us in the story. And with non-human characters, that's going to... Oh, these are supposed to be Chinese people. Because they're on a Chinese boat. It's a Chinese boat polluting somewhere. And the blonde guy is going to tell them he's going to tell the special forces troops to go and kill everybody because they're polluting, and threats in the environment are worthy of the death sentence. And the blonde guy is the bad guy, and these round-eyed characters are supposed to be Chinese. Okay. What I'm talking about is these anthropomorphic furry prawn characters. It's hard to get involved with non-human characters unless you're very, very good, which these people are not. If you've ever read Brian Jacques' Redwall series, that is an example of a master storyteller at work. A second huge problem in woke stories is when the comic ignores the elephant in the room. After a while, people wonder why all the criminals are blonde dudes, when in our daily experience, we know that is not in accord with reality. In fact, it feels like propaganda, which leads us to ask, why are they doing it and who is behind this? Which leads us down some interesting pathways. In fact, when you read enough of these comics, you see the shape of the elephant by the footprints they take to avoid it, and who is leaving these footprints. They will do the most insane things to F the blonde man. If the story is set in Africa, it will be a blonde hunter selling ivory to Germans, when in reality it's Africans with Liberty devices chambered in 7.62 selling rhino horns to China. The Asians love that stuff. They hate the whites and Christians so much, it's like it's pathological. And when they hear the words Jesus Christ, they recoil in horror. And now I'm not some religious nut, I've noticed that. When they literally hear that name, JC, it's like throwing holy water on a vampire. It's really, really bizarre. So I read a lot of comics, and I noticed that the agenda is 100% in one direction. If someone has to be portrayed negatively, it's going to be someone from Europe every single time. And I'm not going out of my way to find these comics. I literally found this stuff in like a half hour. I randomly picked up a bunch of comics. I'll show you in a sec. Ant-Man and Spider-Verse. And both had the Germans from the 30s as the bad guys. And I can't believe I'm going to say this on YouTube, but if these soy boy racists say that the Germans were the bad guys, then I am beginning to suspect that they might have been... Oh, well, never mind. And I'll skip that. I really don't know anymore who were the good guys and who are the bad guys. Everything is kind of being lost in the fog of war. Here's something for you to think about. When you watch TV commercials, if you know what a TV is, do you ever notice that when someone has to look foolish or evil or criminal, then it's always going to be the white person? There are Twitter accounts called something like "White Guys Are Always Dumb" in commercials. They keep track of this curious phenomenon. Take a look at the Super Bowl commercials. Take a look at literally every single commercial. Once you notice it, you'll never unnotice it. And I should say these commercials are also on YouTube. They'll have a cell phone commercial, and there'll be a pretty black girl sitting at the table explaining the cell phone, and there'll have a blonde delivery guy delivering papers, and he'll walk into a clear glass door. Da-da! White man fall down. White man stupid. It's like, all right, it's just one commercial. Big deal. No, keep watching. Take note. It's every single commercial. You'll never find the situation reversed. Anyway, the thing about World War II is that the Italians, Japanese, and Russians were the initial opposing party. So why are they forgotten about? Why do the storytellers only worry about the Germans? It's a total mystery. And I get I'm laying it on a little thick, but you get my point. It's all so tiresome. If you watch mainstream media, you would think that the Germans were the only thing in that war. How come you never see the hammer and sickle as the bad guys? Because, as you know, the writers, editors, and publishers are socialists, and they are untouchable. Why do you think the bad guys are blonde or red-haired 95% of the time? Is there any symbolism associated with blonde or red hair? Does anything activate the almonds? In Weapons Plus, they show a ship that is polluting. Now, the overwhelming odds that this ship is going to be Chinese or Indian. But Marvel can't show the Chinese in a negative light. So they give the Chinese round eyes, and in the other images, they keep their faces hidden. They actually will not show non-whites in a negative light. That's how much they hate you people. Every day, I thank God that I am a transsexual lesbian woman of color, but hashtag I love the people of the light. Obviously, you can tell what this has done to my fragile little mind. And I wonder, why aren't more people talking about this? Oh, because they'll get buried by the YouTube algorithm and eventually kicked off YouTube. YouTube is about entertainment, bread and circuses while civilization burns. Quick, look at the kitten videos. OMG, guys, it's kittens. Quick, open the borders. Aren't kittens great? Diversity is our greatest strength. You ever wonder what would happen to social media if we had free expression? What would the repercussions of that be? Ant-Man, this is a lighthearted B-list of a comic, and don't get offended if it's your favorite comic. So men are dumb, women are smart, and he finds the grand evil, which is some kind of pestilent, corrupt, disgusting creature. And guess what? Guess what, guys? Is that on camera? That's the Germans from the 1930s. Again, just a coinkydink, I guess. If Marvel hates Germans this much, then they've got to be the good guys. And there go another 2 subs. Guys, do you want me to be honest or just a milquetoast pussy? Bianca, if you want to keep your channel, you better be a little bit more Philip DeFranco and a whole lot less Bianca. Hey guys, you beautiful bastards. This is Philip DeFranco here. Sunny day in Southern California, chilly nights ahead. Let's check the 405. I imagine Philip DeFranco, do I want to say it with a... No, I guess I don't want to say it. I'll probably take my channel down for that if I make a joke about, a cylindrical device with one freedom shell in it and him just staring at a glass of whiskey and that the freedom device just spinning the cylinder, just waiting for his lucky day to come up. Oh, hey, what's this? Strange Academy. A bunch of fat kids, diverse, Asian, African, Middle Eastern, I don't know. The 2 blonde characters, I guarantee fucking to you, they're going to be either evil, incompetent, malicious, opprobrium. I want to say opprobrium. I'll just stick with malicious. They're going to be the bad guys. They're going to be the antagonists because they're blonde. And blondes remind the young Ramos Delgado of Germans, because Germans are the only people you can still make fun of. Spider-Verse is they did Spider-Man Noir. Okay, it's clever. It could be. I should say it could be clever. It starts off good. You got a 1940s theme, or 1933, sorry, theme going on here. That's not Spider-Man. Who the fudge is this little guy? I know who it's not. It's not Spider-Man. Oh, and what's this? It just never fucking ends. Oh, God, sorry for swearing. Sorry, guys. It was just one country in a war. The Russians, the Germans, it was a world war, guys. They were more than the Germans. Were they bad? Were they good? Guys, they were just people involved in a war. They were not as bad as the communists. They were not as bad as the Russians. No, the Russians were objectively evil. The Germans, they did not even come close to what the communist Chinese did or what the Russians did. Not even close. It's not even comparable. So why do we nonstop hear about the crooked cross people, because it's the only group in the world that you can still make fun of, but it doesn't make sense. Communism has a death toll 1,000 times greater than Japanese, Italian, and German fascism. You say, oh, well, they started the war. Yeah, the war was a world war. There's no... okay, we're the Japanese. You ever hear about the struggle snuggle of Nanking? I literally have that book on my bookshelf. There's no... and I have got tons of books on the war in the Pacific. For one time, I was into World War II. More about the Pacific theater than the European theater, because I have more connection to the Japanese. The Japanese were monsters, guys. There were no monsters that come close to the Japanese for their brutal atrocities. Not even Muslims, not even communists. There was nothing comes close to the Japanese atrocities that they committed in a very short time. I'm talking about World War II. I mean, we're talking about a 10-year period, maybe a 20-year period when they were in Russia and China. And guys, they would do things I can't even describe on YouTube. Just the worst things you can imagine. Struggle snuggling people to death, and then disemboweling them with their bayonets, cutting babies out, and all right, enough. I think I've done enough for one video. This stuff kind of makes me it makes me sick and nauseous, and I'm just so tired of it, and I'm tired of not being able to say what needs to be said. Whatever. These comics are... This is why Comicsgate is going to kick your bitch ass. Because if this is the best you can come up with... And, okay, guys, even without the historical garbage, we know Nazis were bad guys, okay? But they weren't as bad as the commies. It's bad storytelling. If this is all you have over and over and over again, come up with something new. Oh, we can't. Why? Why not? Well, why don't you guys go after the commies? Oh, because, well, I mean, we're socialists, and the goal of socialism is communism. And we can't talk about... if you start investigating communism, it comes into some history that you can't really get into. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, guys, and I will see you until they deplatform me.